NewsNation Now, as the former governor of Arkansas joins our conversation. Next, Governor Asa Hutchinson ran for president as a Republican as well. Welcome back to the show. I'm going to start with your tweet as we talk about the Trump verdict that you said about this, because it's interesting. It speaks about the Republican Party. It's not easy to see a former president, presumptive GOP nominee, convicted of felony crimes, but the jury verdict should be respected. An appeal's in order, but let's not diminish the significance of this verdict. Why'd you feel the need to say that? Is that kind of a message to some of your other, fellow colleagues in the Republican Party, or?
Well, it's a reminder that you had 12 jurors who, from all appearances, really devoted themselves to seeking the truth in this case, and all 12 of them unanimously said on 34 counts Donald Trump is guilty. I don't think that should be lightly dismissed. You can challenge the judge's jury instructions. It could obviously be reversed on appeal, but don't diminish what the jury found after hearing weeks of testimony. And that's the major point. This is a serious moment for the United States of America. No one should be gleeful about a conviction of a former president, and Republicans should be very concerned that we have a presumptive nominee that has now been convicted of serious felony charges. And so that's the message that I think is important.
Right.
And we ought to be careful about how we address this.
And to be clear, this is coming from someone, correct me if I'm wrong, who wasn't a huge fan of this case going in. I don't think you even thought the charges should have been brought.
That's right. I'm a former prosecutor. I know how to evaluate cases. This seemed to be a stretch at the beginning. But as the prosecution put forth their case, obviously they met the technical requirements of the law, and they presented a case that the jury understood. So, yes, I was skeptical about it. I didn't think it should have been brought, but it was. And I can point to other cases in our history against political individuals that were politically motivated, perhaps, but the jury resolved those cases. And I think there was an opportunity for the jury to hear both sides, and they found guilty, and I don't think that should be dismissed.
Now, on the political side of this, however, what is your view on what the impact will be? I've been saying that I don't think we know. I don't think there's any way to really gauge it yet. But what do you think it will be? Does it actually end up helping President Trump politically, or do enough people look at it in key swing states and say, I'm just not comfortable voting for a convicted felon?
Well, you're right that it's too early to tell, but the poll that was cited earlier said 67% of voters said a conviction would not make a difference. But I think you've got to look at it that 33% say that it would make a difference. And that's a significant number whenever you're looking at 6 swing states. This could be an issue. The immediate impact is fundraising dollars for Donald Trump and the campaign. It is a Republican Party rallying around it. But on the long term, I would not want to be in that position. I don't think it's going to add votes into his tally. It's simply going to energize his base.
No, it may energize his base, but when Trump speaks, as he did today at Trump Tower, it's not just this ranting about the verdict that he thinks is rigged and it's a sham and all that kind of thing. He made this comment, and there was a quote from him saying that he thinks we live in a fascist state. He said that today. So we had the chairman of the party on last hour, Chairman Michael Whatley, and I asked him about that. It seems like a fairly simple question to me. I don't think it's a gotcha question necessarily. It's a Republican candidate for president literally saying that, and here's how that exchange went. I want you to respond to it. So you're not, there's no direct answer? Isn't that a simple yes or no answer? Wouldn't you, if I say you're living in a fascist state, you say no, we're not? This is the United States?
Look, the United States is a democratic republic, as you well know, and we are going to have an election this fall, and we are going to reelect President Trump as our 47th president.
So that took three or four attempts. So the first ones, he didn't answer it at all, just to, change the subject completely. I mean, isn't that a simple question, or am I getting something wrong?
It's a simple question. It is absolutely a simple answer. We live in the greatest democracy. We're not a fascist state. But most importantly, it illustrates the fact that no Republicans wants to cross swords with Donald Trump. And so if he says something crazy, everybody's trying to back it up or at least not disagree with it. That's not how you function in a party, or that's not how you win elections, most importantly. So we got to be more straightforward. America's going to figure this out, as they always do, and overstating the case and maligning our democracy, our great country, is not the right approach.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.